Good afternoon to you. Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Friday, August 25th, 2023. Pretty big update today. We have a lot going on. The concern growing now for Florida, dealing with a tropical system. We're going to talk about that and the rest of the tropics. We still have Franklin out there, and things are just looking busy overall as we end the month of August, approach September. The El Nino really not doing its thing, so to speak, and we thought this might happen. Maybe one of the big reasons why the UK Met folks said, hey, look, this hurricane season could be a lot different than what we are used to seeing with a significant El Nino in place. We are getting development probably in the Western Caribbean. We do have 93L down there. That's what we're talking about here for this concern. For Florida, the record warm Atlantic Basin, the Gulf of Mexico, all of that really starting to do its thing, so to speak. We saw that with Harold just a few days ago, and I saw it personally coming together really quick as it made landfall in Texas. So we're going to have to watch things very carefully here over the next few days. And going into the weekend, people are going to scatter and do stuff with friends and family and travel. You want to make sure, this is another one of those instances where I will ask you, please share this video. Make sure you get people tuned in to what's happening. We just want people to be aware, not scared, but aware. Very big difference there. I'll let you know when it's time to be scared. Katrina comes to mind, 05, something like that. Michael, 2018. Those are very scary situations, absolutely. We're nowhere near that yet. We're at the beginning here, and I just want to make sure you are tuned in and focused on it with everything else pulling your attention in a lot of different directions. So let's get started. First of all, boy, I remember this. I was down there for it 6 years ago. Harvey, and it made landfall near Freeport, come on, Mark, Rockport, Fulton area along the Texas coast at night. A very scary situation when those things happen at night. And then it went on up into the Harris County, Chambers County area, southeast Texas we'll call it, and just dumped ridiculous amounts of rain. And we remember that. A very impactful hurricane. That was 2017, the last year of our second generation of our camera systems and all of our technology. It was after 2017, really Irma, and then Nate in October 2017, that very busy year that we decided to change things up and get into the third generation of what we do, which we'll probably be talking about in the days to come. But yes, looking back on this day, thanks to CJ for putting this infographic together. Everybody down there remembers Harvey. They talked about it a lot when I was down there recently in the Corpus area. Nothing like Harvey right now, thank goodness, but we do have a busy playing field, so to speak. This is 2 days out. This is 7 days out, with even more activity forecast to come off of Africa, and there's still plenty of energy over Africa. But this 93L and Franklin will be our two areas that we watch very closely over the coming days. The forecast for Franklin is as such, passing comfortably between Bermuda and the east coast of the United States. However, as I mentioned in a recent update, I don't even remember when the last thing I've done is because it's just been so busy, but I'm here now, so let's just focus on that. But the rip current threat will develop from Franklin as it comes up between Bermuda and the east coast of the U.S. We will have to focus on that. I want to make sure that messaging is very clear. And as we approach the middle part of next week, those swells, I think Franklin's going to be strong. I think it's going to reach Category 3. That's my opinion. And those swells are going to impact people all along the Atlantic seaboard here down towards the Caribbean islands. So just please keep that in mind. Swells, incoming wave energy, that is an impact, and that could lead to rip currents and loss of life. That's the worst case, obviously, and just, injury. It can hurt you. You got to be careful out there. You got to respect this stuff. The other area, of course, is 93L. 80% chance that this goes on to develop. You got to give props to the European. Oh boy, it saw this several days ago. The Canadian saw it. Other models, the GFS whiffed big time on it. It did. So here's the shot. This is it. I mean, it's coming together. There you go. We're going to take a look at a tweet in a few minutes from my friend Michael Lowry that's a little bit alarming. It should certainly get your attention. But there's the energy down there in the Caribbean It actually swung around, and I'll show you this in just a minute, a really cool sort of stop motion animation, if you will, but the energy is part of this gyre that's down here, and the European picked up on that pretty early on, and now we're seeing things start to happen. Here's Franklin with an exposed center. This is all a mess right now, but it's going to get its act together. It's the pattern that changes that can bring you these big surprises sometimes in the tropics. You look at things, you go, well, it's a mess out there. Well, it might be today, but it's not going to be that way in a few days. And tropical cyclones only need 12 hours, 18 hours, and they can do incredible things when the atmosphere cooperates. And I think that's going to be the case over a gradual process here with Franklin, again, as it moves on up in this direction over the coming days. Meanwhile, out in the Atlantic Basin, elsewhere, not much to really worry about right now. Our focus will be on 93L and Franklin. So watch this. This is so neat, I believe. Let's use white to make it pop. This is last night, 0Z. All right, so 8 o'clock Eastern Time. This is the product here from the University of Wisconsin. Low-level vorticity product, 850 millibars in the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet up. That's the energy that the Euro was locking in on, and that's what it was doing back last night. So watch as this progresses several hours. This was overnight, and then this is the most recent. There's that stop motion I was telling you about. There it is. That's the energy. That's what I look for right there. That's your fingerprint for trouble. All right, and that made its way up out of the Pacific. It's now sitting in here, part of this gyre down here, and that's what we're going to be watching. You also see Franklin and its vorticity signature, and then vorticity stretched out over thousands of miles, not concentrating. But this right here, that's what we're going to be watching, and that's the area that's giving us a little bit of concern for what might happen for our friends in Florida. This too, we've been looking at sea surface temperatures often, and a lot has been made of those temperatures, the anomalies, the departures from average, and now we're going to see the potential, if the atmosphere cooperates, for something significant to happen somewhere in this area. And we don't know exactly where yet. The water temperatures are very stout right now, 30 to 31 Celsius. We're talking upper 80s to near 90 degrees. In fact, I want to go over here to the Twitter. I forgot to load this up, and I promised Dylan. I was wondering if it's even going to let me. Let's go over to Michael's tweet real quick. I think I can find Dylan in here, if this will let me. Well, this is real-time research from yours truly. So here's a very important aspect of this. This tweet here from Dylan, Invest 93L will have plenty of fuel to work with next week. Water temperatures in the Gulf, this is a weathermodels.com product that he tweeted, are around 90 degrees, and we can see those isotherms here. Now, most of the stuff in science, of course, is in metric. So you see these isotherms, lines of equal temperature, 30, 31 Celsius. We're getting close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we go back to this chart here. Yeah, that is problematic. Definitely. Lots of fuel. And, you know, again, not trying to be too alarmist, but we need to pay attention. I don't want this to be dismissed. You look at some model right now and you say it's only coming in on the model as such and such. The same thing happened with Michael. Early on, it looked like a tropical storm at best, so to speak. A couple of forecasters planted their flag that it was going to be a sheared, typical October system. I remember that clearly. And they were wrong. Even the first advisory from the National Hurricane Center was way off. It was 70 miles per hour. Go look it up. I got it memorized because I was there for it. The first advisory for Michael, the location was almost dead on. They nailed that. 5-day forecast. The intensity, I believe, was 70 miles per hour. Michael hit, as we now know, at 160 miles per hour in just a very small area. But it was a Category 5. Just really reminding you, intensity forecasting is where the least amount of skill lies. In that same breath, and I promise you, it's still the same breath, you need to understand, too, it's not just about intensity. It is about the other I word, impact. You need to be thinking in Florida, what's going to happen as far as impacts on the total scale? Not just what category will it be, how strong is it going to be. That matters only in the eye wall of a well-developed hurricane. It really only matters during those scenarios. Otherwise, it's all about the broadness of the system, the spiral bands, the rain, the tornadoes that it could produce. All of that is part of the puzzle here. And wave action coming up towards the Gulf Coast. The rip currents are going to be a problem for the Florida West Coast and the Panhandle, and elsewhere maybe along the Gulf Coast too. You need to think about everything, not just category and what some model is saying when it's now just a strengthening area of vorticity in the Caribbean Sea. We're far from anything now, right? So don't be basing your decisions on something today. You need to be paying attention and think outside the category, please. Atlantic, of course, very warm on the east side here of Florida and elsewhere. I bring that up because there is the chance that, as I'll show you in the modeling in just a moment, that 93L, when it does develop, could come up somewhere in this vicinity and maybe even mill around offshore. We're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff here over the coming days, and yes, the Atlantic Basin, warm pretty much everywhere. It really is. So again, props to the Euro for nailing this recently. You know, the old adage, if you guys remember Sandy, there's probably a t-shirt somewhere, the Euro nailed Sandy. Well, this name would be Idalia. I think that's how you say it, Idalia. The Euro nailed Idalia if it does come to pass. So this is what it shows today from the 12Z run. This is all that energy down there with that gyre in the Caribbean. Now, let me just go back to this real quick. I think I can use my back buttons. Thank you very much, Firefox. This tweet from Michael Lowry is very important. Convection beginning to brew around newly designated Invest 93L in the Western Caribbean, sitting squarely under a sprawling upper level high. A remarkably pristine environment in the area pushing 30 Celsius temperatures. We've already talked about that from Dylan's tweet. And I mentioned this the other day when I showed you what it could possibly be dealing with, this system. And we looked at the GFS and we looked at the Euro at 200 millibars, and it was really impressive, that giant upper anticyclone, and this was sitting right under it. That was the forecast. This is the reality. This is an analysis product right here from the University of Wisconsin again. And yes, 93L, bingo, front and center, right under a sprawling area of anticyclonic flow aloft. That is ideal for development. So keep that in mind as I show you what happens here. All right, so this is the area to watch over here for 93L. There, of course, is Franklin. So let's put this into motion. And it's nice waiting to do this update later in the day because the full 3-hour frame increments of the Euro is available off of Levi's site here, and that's great. So let's move this out. There's 24 hours. It's milling around near the Yucatan. Hey, impacts down there already. Inclement weather, people going to Cozumel, Cancun, elsewhere. You know, that disturbance will cause problems down there. Flight delays, people coming in and out. If there's cruises, yes, these things do cause issues, even though they might not even be named yet. So let's move this on out. There's 48 hours right there. And finally, it's to 72. We're all the way out to Monday morning. It's still milling around down there. That could be a big rain problem for those folks. And finally, by day 4, it gets out of there. It gets dislodged, as we would say, and it makes its way up, according to the Euro, right into Cedar Key. And then that's 5 days. This is Wednesday morning. Beyond that, still trying to get its act together, strengthening under a favorable conditions regime there, comes across and off the southeast coast somewhere out to about a week where, oh goody, and I'm saying that sarcastically, it mills around. So this could be a huge headache for a while, because remember my other day when I had the title Tropical Shenanigans? There you go, there's Franklin. There's another system. It's just plumbing. The plumbing's clogged. Stuff just can't move like we're used to seeing. See what I mean? And then there's some other something trying to go in the Gulf over here, maybe. And we have to watch this energy coming into the Caribbean. A lot happening, to be sure. So we got to watch this very carefully from the genesis down here, where that center forms, and how the different players on the field react. Yeah, we got to watch this closely as we get through next week. GFS finally getting to the party, so to speak. And listen, real quick, I don't know a lot about the math and physics that goes into these things, but it's really not like two teams against each other, this rivalry. Sometimes the Euro whiffs terribly. Let me just take you back real quick 3 years. We're about 2 days out of landfall of Laura, and the Euro and its ensembles. This is in my documentary on the Laura saga on YouTube. It's available. You can go look for it. The Hurricane Highway Laura Part 1 and 2. It's out there. You can see it. I got the actual graphic. The Euro ensemble, the mean, was near Freeport, Texas, southwest of Houston, 2 days out. And the GFS was right into southwest Louisiana. The GFS ended up being right. That's 2 days. You imagine the nightmare that people in Houston area had to deal with. I can't even imagine the stress, seriously. Anyway, sometimes the models whiff, all right? That's all there is to it. Finally, though, what's important, you do want consensus, okay? If something's going to happen, you want to have certainty that it's going to happen. That's all. You know, because if there's uncertainty, that makes it harder on everybody. So let's see what the GFS is showing. A quicker evolution and a farther, whatever it is, west track towards Panama City area. Maybe just west of there, right? So we got to watch this. The split there, and just to kind of give you a geographic reference, yeah, we'll frame it up right there. So the Euro brings it in here, GFS here. Not a giant distance at that time frame. That's 5 days out. That is well within the margin of error for our cone of uncertainty at 5 days. So absolutely. And then you could just, you know, assume, okay, even further south could be problematic. Maybe Tampa, maybe Pensacola. So yes, Florida needs to be watching this very closely. And then the GFS brings it in, and it stalls out, or not stalls out, rains out, I should have said. Very big difference there over the southern Appalachians, which would be a huge problem in and of itself. So yeah, we got a lot of problems here with the potential of something coming in. Let's just go back to when this makes landfall. There's that one at Cedar Key. This is the GFS here, west of Panama City, you know, Destin area, something like that. You know, the difference there, not giant in terms of geographic span, but in terms of who gets impacted, it is a big deal. All right? So before I let you go, I wanted to show you this awesome video from our partner, QuickDam. They come up with some of the best marketing stuff. When I was out in the west, hold on, out in the west dealing with Hillary, there was a lot of flooding, and the rainfall, of course, was excessive. We saw all that mud. And I remember seeing these tweets from local government. They were handing out thousands of sandbags. Well, I've been talking about this company. We're going to be talking about them a lot over the coming years because their technology and what they're doing is really amazing. And I'm trying to help you find a better solution to stuff. So more than just a sponsor, they are a partner in helping you be educated. And this is their flood bag. It's yay big. Probably should have had one with me, but that's okay. You can see the video. So unlike a sandbag where you got to shovel sand into it, and you want to put 20 sandbags in the back of your car, your SUV, your truck, I don't care what you got. 20 sandbags are heavy and bulky and difficult. These come in boxes just like you see there. You can go get them, for example, at Home Depot in Florida. I know they are in stock there. And you just let the water activate them. You could either do it ahead of time with a hose, and they absorb the water. The water does the work. So you don't need sand and whatever else, you know, and the time and the, look at that, it fills up with water. As I've said before, you use water to fight water. And then I like their tweet from today. It's not just hurricanes and flooding from who knows what nature. It's accidents. I have kids, you got pets, you got guests that come over, somebody lets the toilet go or whatever, right? You get leaking ceilings or, you know, come on. There's all kinds of stuff, and it's really, really important to prevent water damage. And the technology is there now. I remember seeing, just real quick, I'm trying to remember all this stuff to tell you. You saw the videos recently of the dripping ceilings in Las Vegas. If those casinos had had these products, they could have wheeled this stuff out instead of a mop and you're just putting everything and spreading it around, or towels, which are awful because they drip after you pick them up. This stuff literally absorbs the water. I want to talk to you more about this company over the coming weeks, months, and years, because you are going to be amazed at what they can do. And in fact, when we head to Florida next week, yes, I'm going to be heading down there. I'm going to be taking some of their products with me. We're going to get up with some of our supporters, some of our friends off of YouTube who live in Florida, and we're going to give them some of these products and say, document how you might be using this. Very simple solutions to complex trying to protect multi-million-dollar business and industry interests. QuickDam is the product. It's really amazing. So quickdams.com, I'll put a link in the description of the video. Again, trying to help you, not just sell you something. You'll thank me later. It's really, really neat. And I'm just so happy to be partnering with them in this project. We're all in it together, right? All right, let's get this on. Important weekend coming up. Don't ignore what's happening. Hey, I know you won't. You guys are smart. I appreciate you tuning in to me. It means a lot. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll do an update tomorrow, and then I hit the road Sunday to get down to Florida and start getting to work. We want to get ahead of this and be as ready as we can be to do what we do best here at HurricaneTrack. I'm Mark Sudduth. Again, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you a couple of times before I hit the road.